Hi Odyssey 5th grade scholars, Miss Bradham here. Today we're going to talk about 3 different ways to do multi-digit multiplication. The first one is the standard multiplication, which you've probably seen. The second one is area model. And then the third one that we're going to look at today is lattice multiplication, which is actually probably my favorite. So for our first method of multiplication, let's look at standard multiplication. So let's take a look maybe at this problem. Let's say that we have 27 times 4. So we know that we want to start in the ones column here. And we're going to say 4 times 7, which we know is 28. So we put our ones, which is 8, and carry the 2 to the tens column. So now we are ready to multiply into the tens column 4 times 2, and 4 times 2 is 8, and then we add what we had up here. So 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10. So we know that 27 times 4 is 108. So now let's look at another method called area model. So if we look at area model, and we have our problem that we did before, which was, let's see if I can make that a little bit darker. So now let's look at our same problem that we had before. Here was our standard way of looking at the problem. 27 times 4. But now let's see if we can break this up into an area model. So if I know that I have 27, I can know that I can break 27 into 20 plus 7. And then I have 4, which is just 4. So now I'm going to make an area model. So if I take 27, I know that I have 2 digits across the top, and then I have 1 digit for the other problem, so I only need 1 row. So now I get a rectangle that looks something like this, and I have 20, and then I have 7, and then I have 4. So now I still have 27 times 4. So now I'm going to fill in my area model. I'm going to do my ones, 7 times 4, which is 28. And then I'm going to do my tens, 20 times the 4. And if I know that 4 times 2 is 8, then all I need to do is add my 0, and I get 80. But then you might ask, well, what do I do with those numbers? Well, all you have to do is add them together. 80 plus 28, 0 plus 8 is 8, 8 plus 2 is 10. I got the same answer as I did with my standard algorithm. Okay, so now on to my favorite type of doing multiplication, which is the lattice method. So the word looks something like this. It's kind of similar to the word ladder. So if we still have our same problem, 27 times 4, we're going to set up our problem into a lattice. So we start off in a similar way in that I have 2 numbers here. So I want enough room across the top for 2 numbers. And then I have 1 number here, so we want enough room for 1 number down the side. But one thing that's going to be different in the lattice method is that instead of putting 20 and 7, I put a 2 and a 7 and then my 4 on the side. So it looks kind of similar to the area model, but you break it up like that. But here comes the fun part. Now we're going to make the ladder. So now we're going to go up in this corner here, and we're going to divide this square like so. And then we're going to go over here to this corner and divide that like so. And now what we are going to do is multiply into the boxes. So if I know that 4 times 7, I know that it is 28. And then I'm going to take 4 times 2, and I know that it is 8. But, oh my goodness, 8 is only a one-digit number, and I have 2 spaces. No worries. All you'll do is put a 0, 8. Then the fun starts. Then all we need to do is add down our rows. So here we only have 8. So I just put 8. Here I have 2 plus 8 is 10. Just like you would do in their standard multiplication, you'd put your 0 and then just carry your 1 up to the next row, and 1 plus 0 is 1. But here is the coolest part to me about lattice multiplication, is that after you've set it up and you have done your multiplication and you've done your adding, you're finished, because guess what? 108 is your answer. Is that not the coolest? So you might say, well, Miss Bradham, that's all fine and good, but what happens if it's a 2-digit by 2-digit number? So let's look at our standard method. So let's go back to our standard method. And now let's say we have 27 times 42. Well, we're still going to start in our ones over here. We're going to say 2 times 7 is 14, and we carry that 1, and 2 times 2 is 4, plus our 1 makes 5. But now in our standard algorithm, since we have a 2-digit number, we have to multiply now in the tens place, and we need that placeholder in our ones column. But now we're ready to multiply by the tens. 4 times 7 is 8. 28, so I put my 8 there. Carry my 2. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10. So now I am ready to add my columns. 4 plus 0 is 4. 5 plus 8 is 13, so I put my 3, carry my 1. 1 plus 0 is 1, and I don't have anything up there. So 27 times 42 is 1,134. Okay, so now let's look at that same 2-digit problem with the area model. So I had 20, oh, I don't like that. Let's go back here and get the pencil. Here we go. 27 times 42. But now let's set it up as an area model. So I have 2 digits here. So I'm going to make enough room across the top for 2 columns. And I have 2 digits here. So I'm going to make enough room for 2 digits across the side. So now I'm ready for my area model. I have 27, which is 20 plus 7. And now I have 42, which is 40 plus 2. Now I'm ready to do my multiplication. So I know that 7 times 4 is 28, and I add that 0, and I get 280. Then I have 7 times 2, which makes 14. Over here in this column, I have 20 times 40, and that seems kind of big at first, but I know that 2 times 4 is 8, and I have 2 zeros to add, so that's 8 and 2 zeros. And then in this box, I have 20 times 2, which is 40. So now I take my numbers, 800 plus 280 plus 40, and then I have 14. So 0, 0, 0 plus 4 is 4. 8 plus 4 is 12. Plus 1 makes 13, and I carry my 1. 8 plus 2 is 10. Plus 1 makes 11. So I get 1,134 again. But now what happens if we look at this problem with the lattice method? Because sometimes what I find with that area model is when you have to add all those numbers at the end, it gets a little, I don't know, tedious adding all those numbers together. So I still have 27 times 42. So I'm going to set up my problem similar to the area model. I have 2 numbers here, so I want enough room across the top for 2 numbers. And I have 2 numbers here, so I want enough room for 2 numbers down the side. So I go ahead and make my model, but then I have 27 and 42, and I make my boxes. But now I want to make my lattice. So I want to go up in the top corner of each box. So I'm going to start here, and I cut that box in 2, and I start here, and I cut those 2 boxes in 2, and then when I start here, and I want to cut that box into 2. Now I'm ready to multiply. So let's start in this box. So now I have 7 times 4, which is 28. 7 times 2, which is 14. 2 times 4, which is 8. And 2 times 2, which is 4. But now I'm ready for the fun part, because now all I need to do is just add my diagonal rows. So I have 4 here and nothing else, so that becomes a 4. I want to add this diagonal row, so 8 plus 1 is 9. 9 plus 4 makes 13. So I put my 3 here, and I carry my 1, and I'm going to add this diagonal row. 8 plus 2 is 10, plus 1 makes 11. So I put my 1, and I carry the other one up there, and 1 plus 0 is 1, and I get 1,134. So those are 3 different methods, standard, area, and lattice, that you can approach multi-digit multiplication. Thanks for watching.